What is up, everyone, and welcome back to NewGen Plus. Look, I know what you're thinking. Another year, another boring Call of Duty. But listen, I spent this weekend deep in the Black Ops 7 beta, and coming from someone who generally enjoys a COD title, yes, even last year's BO6, I have to say this game has been some of the most fun I've had in the franchise in a very, very long time. And that's coming from somebody who's a massive Zombies fan who tends to lean into the Treyarch titles anyways. This beta has given me a genuine reason to be optimistic for this year, so let's dive in to find out why. Here's the thing, guys. First things first. The core multiplayer. If you've played Black Ops 6, the foundational gameplay here is going to feel incredibly similar, and honestly, it makes sense. We're constantly hearing that these two games were developed in parallel, and while I have my doubts about how much of that was like corporate speak and fake news, the truth is BO7 feels like a spiritual successor to Black Ops 2, built solidly on the engine and systems established in BO6. The movement is where they really kick things up a notch. Omni movement is here, shocker, but it's better than ever. And they added wall jumping to the mix. It feels smooth, natural, and actually elevates the flow of combat. Specifically talking about the maps in the beta, it's clear that they were designed with this movement in mind. I did notice while playing a lot of high walls and vertical opportunities that felt suspiciously like they might have had a BO3 style advanced movement in mind at one point. Maybe they backed out late in development in favor of the current wall jump feature, but regardless, the movement tools we have in the game currently feel fantastic. The weapons all feel great right off the rip, with a couple of nostalgic standouts for me personally, like the Peacekeeper Mark I and the M8A1, with a couple new guns like the Dravic SMG being standouts in my eyes. Look, the Lord knows I'm biased towards that BO2 setting, but even the standard gunplay felt punchy and responsive. The maps this time around feel far more cohesive than the ones we got in the BO6 beta last year. I spent a lot of that time complaining about how stupid those maps felt and how they felt like a completely different game. This set of arenas mesh well, they flow for the new movement, and I can tell Treyarch definitely heard the community's criticisms loud and clear. This is a way better lineup of starting maps, even without the remasters coming at launch. Now let's talk about that elephant in the room, and probably the biggest headline coming out of this beta: skill-based matchmaking, or SBMM for short. Treyarch finally caved, but in a smart way. They made it optional. You now have the choice whether you want to queue into a strictly skill-based playlist or jump into a more open ping-based playlist. A lot of the community rejoiced over this, and while I've never been someone who desperately needed SBMM removed, I'm absolutely enjoying the new open playlists. They bring back that classic, almost chaotic balance of matches from the older CODs, where sometimes you stomp and sometimes you get stomped. But the biggest thing, the single best quality of life improvement in a while. Disbanding lobbies are gone. You can finally run the match back, and yes, you can trash talk from game to game again. That feeling of running into the same player match after match, building up a little friendly rivalry, is back. It's definitely a step forward for the franchise, or maybe a return to form. And honestly, we might have to thank the pressure from games like Battlefield 6 for giving COD the little kick it needed. As a Zombies fan since Black Ops 1, the inclusion of zombies in this beta was a huge plus for me. It's the main reason I buy these games year after year. If you had major issues with the modern mechanics in BO6, like the armor or the point system or the core HUD layout, you'll probably have them here, because BO7 clearly builds on that successful Cold War and BO6 formula, and since I actually enjoyed BO6, I thought it was a great entry, and I'm happy to say BO7 feels like a solid improvement. We got to play on farm, returning from BO2 in the classic survival game mode, and just seeing the Dark Aether atmosphere return again was amazing. After a year of bright, open facilities, it was awesome to have zombie maps feel like zombie maps again. The purple skybox, the darkness, the isolation, it's all finally back. And I appreciate the subtle buffs and quality of life changes they made, like the ray gun is actually viable now, and they let wall buys increase rarity after purchase instead of forcing you to wait through rounds or travel to different locations. Especially with armor. You can just buy armor, and it'll upgrade to purple after purchasing blue. However, the beta felt a little bit naked because we couldn't really use any of the zombie operators, or more importantly, our augments. This made some of the perks feel a little bit useless, and it kind of opened my eyes to see how many perks are really nothing without their augments. I also really wanted to see some of the quality of life augments they spoke of in the blog posts, like the Vulture Aid one that let you skip the plating animation entirely just by walking over plates to equip them. That's a big one for me. Having to constantly replate in combat is so annoying. The zombies do so much damage that you're constantly replating throughout these high rounds. Zombies should not be doing about 1.5 plates per hit in the later rounds. It's just way too much, and sometimes there's an issue in BO6 and now in BO7 as well. When you run over plates, you don't automatically pick them up. You have to sometimes go over and interact with them and pick them up, which kind of, it slows down the gameplay, and I would much rather they get rid of it entirely, which this augment does. On the new enemy front, we have the bear and the denizen-like creatures, which are new additions, but I am already annoyed by those tiny baby bees that the main bear throws at you. And while I'm glad that the Doppelgast only seems to spawn after round 40, I really hope the reuse of old bosses is purely a survival mode feature. That was one of the main criticisms in BO6, and Treyarch has said they want to move past it. I would be very upset if I see like Uberklaus or, God forbid, the Amalgams show up again. Let's just hope for the best here. I would say my biggest immediate complaint, which crosses into both modes, is that the HUD is a disaster. I tried my best to turn off all the garbage floating on the screen, but in the beta they hadn't separated the display settings by game mode yet, so I kind of just gave up. I was getting annoyed of having to go back and forth, turning on settings, turning off settings, turning on, turning off settings, so I just ignored it entirely. But this is where my optimism comes back, because if the rumors are true, and in the blog post they spoke, they're going to bring back the classic HUD themes like the BO3 Zombies HUD, and I will be so happy if they do that. I will never there will be no reason for me to take that off. All said and done, I am genuinely excited for this year's COD. I've enjoyed my time with the beta, and it feels like an improved BO6 in almost every way. With the community-friendly changes to the multiplayer lobby system and the return of that classic Zombies atmosphere with Cursed coming at launch, I think Treyarch is keeping the good mojo going. I hope they don't drive this off the cliff when it comes to post-launch content, but I'm willing to bet that they won't. At least I hope they don't, you know? Sue me for being optimistic. Anyways, that's it for me. I'm trying to keep it short today. If you liked it, drop a like and let me know in the comments if you guys are excited for Black Ops 7 or are you going with Battlefield 6. Anyways, hit that subscribe button for more NewGen Plus reviews. I'm Jim, and we'll see you in the next one.